The Dallas Stars have officially clinched a playoff berth and hit the triple-digit mark. The Seattle Kraken are now out of the playoffs for good for the third time in the last 4 seasons. There were 3 different teams in the second wildcard position in the Eastern Conference this weekend. We'll go to all the game recaps from our past couple days and how it affected the standings coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey Channel. Now before we begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without all of you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. It really does help with the channel. And if you leave a comment down in the comment section below, would love to hear your thoughts on all those discussed here today. So we got another game recap video here to discuss. There were tons of intriguing action over the weekend. That saw 6 games happen over on Friday, 11 on Saturday, and 8 over on Sunday, and saw some interesting movement in the standings. We'll get to all the game recaps from our past couple of days. So we're going to start off with the 6 games that happened over on Friday. First, we saw Florida Panthers blow lead but recovered, and in Brad Marchand's Panthers debut, the Panthers would take down the Utah Hockey Club 2-1 in overtime, as Florida has won 3 of 4 and improved to 44-25-3, while Utah has lost 3 straight and fallen 32-29-12. So that's a bad loss there for Utah. For the Panthers, Bennett scored twice, both goals for the Panthers, including the OT winner, and Bobrovsky stopped 13 of 14 shots he faced in the win for the Panthers, while Durzi was 1 goal scorer for Utah in the loss. So an intriguing game there, but in a game that the Panthers probably shouldn't have won, they come away with a massive 2 points. Then we saw Carolina Hurricanes score 4 unanswered goals and kept Montreal going on their losing streak as they beat Montreal 4-1. As the Hurricanes won 10 of 12 and improved to 44-24-4, while the Habs have lost 5 straight and they fall to 33-30-9. Bad loss there for Montreal. For the Hurricanes, Blake had 3-point night, goal, 2 assists. Jarvis had 2 assists. Aho, Hall, and Svechnikov also scored. Anderson stopped 14 of 15 shots he faced in the win for Carolina, while Anderson was 1 goal scorer for the Canadiens, and the loss was an intriguing game there, but it was the Hurricanes to come away with the victory. Then what was one of maybe the most entertaining games we've seen all season, and a back and forth match that the Blue Jackets would overcome an early 3-goal deficit, had a couple of leads, blew a late lead at one point, but they come away with a 7-6 shootout victory over the Vancouver Canucks. They have a point 3 of 4, improved to 33-29-9, and at that point on Friday, they were in the last wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. This is just how crazy it is. I think the Jackets were on like a 5 or 6 game losing streak just about a week ago. They go on a 5 or 6 game losing streak, and yet they're still in the second wildcard spot as of Friday. That is how crazy the second wildcard race is in the Eastern Conference right now. Well, the Canucks have a 3-game point streak of 0.5-6, but do fall to 34-26-13. That's a massive lost point by the Vancouver Canucks. For the Jackets, Jenner, who had 2 goals and 8 assists, and Fabro, who had a goal and 2 assists, both at 3-point nights. Olivier, Marchenko, and Matejchuk all had a goal and 8 assists in regulation, and Johnson was the only show goal scorer for the Jackets in the win. While Suter and Sherwood both had 3 assists. Ratu scored twice. Besser had a goal and 8 assists. Hughes and Joshua both had 2 assists, and DeBrusque, Carlson, and Myers also scored for Canucks in a show loss. So it was a really high scoring and entertaining game, but the Jackets to come away with the victory. Then we saw Winnipeg Jets open the scoring and shut out the New Jersey Devils 4-0, as the Jets have won 6 of 8 and are the first team to 50 wins on the year. They're now up to a 50-19-4 record, while Devils have lost 4 of 5 and fall 38-29-7. That's a bad loss there for New Jersey. For the Jets, Iafallo scored twice, Scheifele had a goal and 8 assists, Connor had 2 assists, Gustafsson also scored, and Hellebuyck stopped all 24 shots he faced in the show and victory for the Jets. So an impressive game there as the Jets come away with the victory. Then we saw Vegas Golden Knights score 3 unanswered goals and overcame a deficit to take down the Chicago Blackhawks 5-3, as they have won 5 straight and improved to 44-20-8. Really good stuff there for Vegas. While the Blackhawks have lost 9 of 10 and fall to 21-43-9. For the Knights, Carlson had 3 assists, Olofsson scored twice, Stone had a goal and assist, and Howden and Orofia both also scored for Knights in the win, while Donato had a hat trick, scoring 3 goals, and Mikheyev had 2 assists for the Hawks in the loss. It was a really good night for Ryan Donato, but the Hawks were not able to hold on to a lead. And last game over on Friday was between the Ducks and the Rangers. The Rangers had a 4-2 lead late in the 3rd period, but blew it. And thanks to this goal here in overtime from Mason McTavish, the Ducks will complete the comeback and take down the New York Rangers 5-4 in overtime. As the Ducks have won 3 of 4 and improved to 32-32-8, while the Rangers have lost 5 of 6 and fall to 34-32-7. So Rangers are not looking good right now. For the Ducks, Carlson had a 4-point night with a goal and 3 assists. Gauthier and Zellweger both had goal and 8 assists. Lacombe had 2 assists, and Kaloran and McTavish, who had the O2 winner, both also scored for the Ducks in the win. Well, Fox, JT Miller, and Lafreniere all had goal and assists. Panarin had 2 assists, and CBJ also scored for Rangers in the OT loss. So it was an intriguing game there, but a really fantastic comeback from Anaheim gets them the win. Those were 6 games we saw over on Friday, going over to the 11 we saw over on Saturday. So first, over on Saturday, we saw the Philadelphia Flyers overcome a deficit, scored 4 unanswered goals, and took down the Buffalo Sabres in a battle of the 2 worst teams in the Eastern Conference, 7-4. As the Flyers improved to 30-36-9, while the Sabres have their 3-game win streak end and fall 30-36-6. That was a bad loss there from Buffalo. Could have gotten them a little bit closer to a playoff spot. For the Flyers, Cates had 3.0 with a goal and 2 assists. Mishkov scored twice. Paling, Forrester, and Tippett all had a goal and an assist. Konechny had 2 assists. And Pellicci, who scores first as a Flyer, also scored for Flyers in the win. While Quinn, who had 2 goals and an assist, and McLeod, who had 3 assists, both at 3-point nights. Patricia had a goal and an assist, and Tuck also scored for the Sabres in the loss. It was an intriguing game there, but Philly comes with the victory. Then we saw the Tampa Bay Lightning jump out to a 4-goal lead. Nearly blew it, but held on for a 5-3 victory over the Islanders, as they have won 3 straight, 6 of 8, and improved to 43-25-5. Bolts are looking quite scary right now, and still in contention for top spot in the Atlantic, while the Islanders have lost 4 straight and fallen 32-30-10. The Islanders' great stretch has now been erased by this losing streak that's still keeping them in the playoff hunt, but not by much. For Tampa, Kucherov had 4.8, goal 3 assists, Point scored twice, Gensel had goal and assists, Hedman had 2 assists, and Perbix also scored for the Bolts in the win, while D'Angelo, Pulak, and Gatcomb were 3 goal scorers for the Islanders in the loss. It was an intriguing game there, but very impressive victory there from Tampa. Then we saw St. Louis Blues break a tie in the 3rd period and held on to beat the Colorado Avalanche 2-1, as the Blues have won 9 straight and improved to 40-28-7. This Blues team is on fire right now, while the Avalanche had their 4-game win streak end in full 45-26-3. So that's a bad loss there for the Avalanche. For the Blues, Thomas had 2 assists, Bolduca, Buchnevich, who were the 2 goal scorers, and Binnington stopped 28-29 shots he faced in the win for the Blues, while McKinnon's lone goal scorer for the Avalanche in the loss. So a very low scoring game, but very fantastic victory there for St. Louis. Then we saw New Jersey Devils get out to a 2-goal lead and held on to beat the Minnesota Wild 5-2, as they have a point in 3 of 4 and improved to 39-29-7. Big win there for the Devils, while the Wild have lost 3 of 4 and fall 41-28-5. So a big win there from New Jersey in the first half of a home-and-home against the Minnesota Wild. For the Devils, Heischer had a hat-trick, 3 goals, Bratt had 2 assists, and Tatar and Cotter both also scored for Devils in the win, while Foligno had a goal and assist, and Hartman also scored for the Wild in the loss. So an intriguing game there, but just not a great game there for Minnesota. Then we saw Vegas Golden Knights score 3 unanswered goals, including this goal here from Riley Smith on Sportsnet. But Smith was able to give the Knights the go-ahead goal, and they took down Nashville 3-1, as Vegas has won 6 straight and improved to 45-20-8, and they're starting to run away with the Pacific Division title, while the Predators have lost 7 of 9, and they fall 27-38-8. That's a bad loss there from Nashville. For the Knights, Eichel had a goal and assist, Theodore had 2 assists, Howden and Smith also scored, and Hill stopped 23 of 24 shots he faced in the win for Vegas, while O'Reilly was one goal scorer for Predators in the loss. It was an intriguing game there, but very fantastic win there from the Knights. Then we saw the Ottawa Senators jump out to a 2-goal lead and held on to that 2-goal lead and beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 3-2, as they have won 9 of 12 and improved to 39-28-5, while the Jackets have lost 7 of 9 and fall 33-30-9. That was a bad loss there from Columbus. That would eventually later on Saturday put them out of a playoff spot. For the Senators, Greg had a goal and an assist, Pinto had 2 assists, and Batherson and Sanderson both also scored for Senators in the win, while Werenski had 2 assists, and Marchenko and Jenner were 2 goal scorers for the Blue Jackets in the loss. So a really intriguing game there between, at the time, the first and second wildcard teams in the Eastern Conference, but Ottawa was able to create more separation between them and the pack. Then we saw the Toronto Maple Leafs score 3 straight and beat the LA Kings 3-1, as they have a 3-game point streak of won 5 of 7 and improved to 44-25-4, while the Kings fall to 40-23-9. So a bad loss there from Los Angeles, with Edmonton hot on their heels. For the Leafs, Tavares scored twice, Matthews had a goal and assist, and Stolar stopped 35 of 36 shots he faced in the win for the Leafs, while LaFerriere was one goal scorer for the Kings in the loss. It was an intriguing game there, but big win there from Toronto to keep pace for top spot in the Atlantic Division. Then we saw the Detroit Red Wings jump out to a 2-goal lead and held on to beat the Boston Bruins 2-1, as they improved to 34-33-6, so they're back up to 500 and still in the race for the playoff spot, while the Bruins have lost 8 straight, 11 of 13, and fall to 30, 35, and 9. At this rate, the Bruins might very well have a top 5 pick in this year's draft. For the Red Wings, Casper and Raymond, who are the 2 goal scorers, and Talbot stopped 20 of 21 shots he faced in the win for the Red Wings, while Geeky was 1 goal scorer for our Bruins in the loss. So it was an intriguing game there, but big win there for Detroit to keep pace for a playoff spot. Then we saw the Edmonton Oilers overcome a late deficit and took down the Calgary Flames 3-2 in overtime, thanks to this goal here from none other than Leon Draisaitl. Draisaitl in this game hit the 50 goal mark as the Oilers have a .6 of 8 and improved to 42, 26, and 5, while the Flames fall to 34, 26, and 12. So that's a bad loss to take there for Calgary, with St. Louis still doing quite good. For the Oilers, Draisaitl 3-point night, 2 goals, including the OT winner and an assist. Nurse had 2 assists, and Arvidsson also scored for the Oilers in the win, while Pakal had a goal and an assist. Kadri had 2 assists, and Shankovic also scored for the Flames in the OT loss. So it was an intriguing game there, but big win there for Edmonton. Then we saw New York Rangers come out and dominate, beating the San Jose Sharks 6-1. Ain't blowing that sort of a lead, as they have a point in 3 of 4 and improved to 35, 32, and 7, and they got themselves back into that second wildcard spot, while the Sharks fall 20, 43, and 9 on the year, so a bad loss there from San Jose. For the Rangers, Fox and Panarin both scored twice. Trocheck had a goal and an assist. Venikainen and Miller both had 2 assists. Brzezinski also scored, and Quick stopped 21 and 22 shots he faced in the win for the Rangers, while Lund, his first career NHL goal, was a lone goal scorer for the Sharks in the loss. So it was an intriguing game there, but big win there for New York. And the last game we saw over on Saturday was between the Stars and the Kraken, as Dallas scored 5 unanswered goals and took down Seattle 5-1, as they have a 5-game win and 8-game point streak and improved to 48, 21, and 4. And with that win, have officially locked themselves into a playoff spot. They are the 3rd team this year to clinch a playoff berth, while the Kraken have lost 4 of 5, fall 31, 37, and 6. And while it did happen a little bit earlier in the day, with this loss, the Kraken are now officially eliminated from playoff contention for the 3rd time in their first 4 years. So really bad stuff here for Seattle. For the Stars, Ryan had 3-point night, goal, 2 assists. Hintz and Robertson both had a goal and an assist. Marchman and Johnston both also scored, and Andrews stopped 35 of 36 shots he faced in the win for the Stars, while Tolvanen was the lone goal scorer for the Kraken in the loss. It was an intriguing game there, but big win there from Dallas. Those were the 11 games we saw over on Saturday. Going over to the 8 we saw over on Sunday. First, we saw Montreal Canadiens break a tie in the 3rd period and held on to double up the Florida Panthers 4-2. Florida just can't beat Montreal this year, as the Canadiens have ended their 5-game losing streak and improved to 34, 30, and 9. And as of Sunday, they were the second wildcard team in the Eastern Conference, while the Panthers fall to 44, 26, and 3 and lose ground in the Atlantic race. That's a bad loss there from Florida. For the Canadiens, Suzuki, who had a goal and 2 assists, and Hudson, who had 3 assists, both had 3-point nights. Sapkowski had a goal and an assist, and Gallagher and Laine both also scored for the Habs in the win, while Barkov had 2 assists, and Reinhart and Jones were 2 goal scorers for Panthers in the loss. It was an intriguing game there, but big win there for Montreal. Then we saw the Buffalo Sabres break a tie and jump out to a 3-goal lead and held on for an 8-5 win over the Washington Capitals. High-scoring affair over in GC, as they have won 4 of 5 and improved to 31, 36, and 6, and they're still not out of it for a playoff spot, while the Capitals have lost 3 straight and fall 47, 17, and 9. A little bit of a hiccup in the road there for the Capitals. For the Sabres, Tuck, who had 2 goals and an assist, and Quinn, who had a goal and 2 assists, both had 3-point nights. Thompson scored twice. Clifton, Peterka, and Zucker all had 2 assists, and Lafferty, McLeod, and Krebs also scored for Sabres in the win, while Ovechkin, who had a 3-point night, 1 goal. He's now 5 away from catching Gretzky's record, and 2 assists. Chicken scored twice. Strome had 2 assists, and Dubois and Protas both also scored for Capitals in the loss. So it was a really high-scoring, high-event game that saw the Sabres going with the victory. Then we saw Winnipeg Jets score 3 unanswered goals, including a late 3rd-period dagger to take down the Vancouver Canucks 3-1, as they have won 3 straight 7-9 and improved to 51, 19, and 4, while the Canucks, who may have just had their season ended, had their 3-game point streak end, and they fall to 34, 27, and 13. Bad loss there from the Canucks. For the Jets, Connor had a goal and an assist. Perfetti and Appleton both also scored, and Hellebuyck stopped 23 of 24 shots he faced in the win for the Jets, while Suter was one goal scorer for Canucks in the loss. It was a really tall task for Vancouver, and they just could not get the victory. Then we saw Utah Hockey Club end their losing streak by scoring 4 unanswered goals and taking down Chicago 5-2, as they've ended their 3-game losing streak and improved to 33, 29, and 12, while the Hawks have lost 3 straight, 10 of 11, and fall 21, 44, and 9. Bad loss there for Chicago. For Utah, Kerfoot had 3.8, goal, 2 assists. Sergachev had goal and assist. Marino had 2 assists, and Cooley, as well as Yamamoto and DeSimone, who both got their first goals in Utah, also scored for Utah in the win, while Veleno and Donato were 2 goal scorers for Chicago in the loss. So it was an intriguing game there. Utah now has more points than Arizona did last year, so that's really great stuff there. It's a step in the right direction, but it still looks like Utah's season's basically over. Then we saw Carolina Hurricanes blow a 2-goal lead, but recovered and beat the New York Islanders 6-4, as they've won 11 of 13 and improved to 45, 24, and 4. Well, the Islanders have lost 5 straight and fell 32, 31, and 10, so a bad loss there from the Islanders. For the Canes, Aho had 3.9, goal, 2 assists. Jarvis scored twice. Jost had 2 assists, and Stankovic, Jankowski, and Orlov also scored for the Hurricanes in the win, while Engvall scored twice. Palmieri had a goal and an assist. Horvat had 2 assists, and Lee also scored for the Islanders in the loss. So it was an intriguing game there, but big win there for Carolina. Then we saw a very defensive battle, and the Penguins come away on top with thanks to this goal here from Sidney Crosby. In overtime, Pittsburgh was able to take down Ottawa 1-0, as they have ended their 3-game losing streak and improved to 30, 34, and 11, while the Senators have a 3-game point streak now, but do fall to 39, 28, and 6. That's a bad loss there from Ottawa. For the Penguins, Crosby had the OT winner, was a lone goal scorer, and Jerry stopped all 31 shots he faced in the shutout and win for Pittsburgh, while Forsberg stopped 34 of 35 shots he faced in the OT loss for Ottawa. So it was an intriguing game there, but a very narrow victory for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Then we saw Toronto Maple Leafs blow a 2-goal lead, but recovered and beat Anaheim 3-2, as they have a 4-game point streak, have won 6 of 8, and improved to 45, 25, and 4, still in the driver's seat for top spot in the Atlantic, while the Ducks fall to 32, 33, and 8 on the year. So really impressive and big win there for Toronto. For the Leafs, Domi, Marner, and Laurent were 3 goal scorers for the Leafs in the win, while Carlson and Colangelo were 2 goal scorers for the Ducks in the loss. So an intriguing game there, the big win there for Toronto. And the last game we saw over on Sunday was between the Kings and the Sharks, as Los Angeles scored 6 unanswered goals and pummeled the San Jose Sharks 8-1, as they've won 5 of 7 and improved to 41, 23, and 9, while the Sharks have lost 4 of 6 and fall to 20, 44, and 9. So a bad loss there from the Sharks. For the Kings, Kuzmenko had a goal and 2 assists, and Kopitar, who had 3 assists, both had 3-point nights. Kempe and Fogle both scored twice. Moore had a goal and an assist. Doughty, Gavrikov, and Byfield all had 2 assists. Lewis and Deneau both also scored, and Riddick stopped 22 of 23 shots he faced in the win for the Kings, while Lund was a lone goal scorer for the Sharks in the loss. So really good stuff there to see Cameron Lund having a really good stretch, but the Kings absolutely destroyed the San Jose Sharks. Those are all the games we saw from our past couple days. Lots of intriguing ones. Not just going over to see how it affected the standings as it sits right now. So in the Eastern Conference, 7 teams have still hit the 80-point plateau, with now 5 teams having hit the 90-point plateau, and 1 team, the Washington Capitals, have hit triple digits. They're at 103 points and are the first and only team in the Eastern Conference to have clinched a playoff berth. After that, you have the 94-point Hurricanes, the 94-point Maple Leafs, the 91-point Bolts, and the 91-point Panthers, who have all also hit the 90-point plateau. And then you have the 85 Devils and 84-point Senators, who have hit the 80-point plateau. After that, you had the Montreal Canadiens, who are at second wildcard position at 77 points, and it's still really tight. Rangers are tied with the Canadiens, but have played 1 more game, so Canadiens do have a game in hand. The Jackets are 2 points back of the Canadiens, but do have a game in hand, so they're not completely out of it at this point. The Red Wings and the Islanders are both 3 points back, with the same amount of games played as the Canadiens, so they're not completely out of it. The Pittsburgh Penguins, now at 71 points, they're 6 points out, however they have played 2 more games than the Canadiens. And then you have the Bruins, who are now 8 points out of a playoff spot, the Flyers, who are 8 points out of a playoff spot, and the Sabres, who are 9 points out of a playoff spot. So really intriguing race there in the Eastern Conference. Now when you go over to the Western Conference, 10 teams have hit the 80-point plateau, including 5 teams who have hit the 90-point plateau, and 2 teams, that's the Stars and the Jets, who have hit triple digits. Jets at 106 and Stars at 100. Both have also clinched playoff berth with those triple-digit point totals. After that, you had the 98-point Knights, 93-point Avs, and 91-point Kings, who have all also hit the 90-point plateau. And then you had the 89-point Oilers, 87-point Wild, and Blues, who are both in the wildcard positions, while in the first, Blues in the second. Then you have the Canucks, who are currently 1 game in hand on the Blues, but are 6 points out at 81 points. And you have the Flames, who have 3 games in hand on the Blues, and are 7 points out at 80 points. So Canucks and Flames are starting to fall out a little bit as well. Then you have the Utah Hockey Club, who's currently 9 points out with 1 game in hand on St. Louis, and everyone else is 10 plus points back. So interesting note there, Utah, Vancouver, Calgary still holding on to slim playoff hope, but it looks like the 8 teams are already set said, in the Western Conference, while in the Eastern Conference, it's still going back and forth for that last wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. So definitely lots of intriguing stuff from our past couple of days. That was all I'm going to talk for today. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comment section below. Were anything surprising to you in the games? And are you surprised by any team's placements in the standings? Definitely leave your thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. This is all I'm going to talk for today. Remember to like this video, and if you really like it, remember to subscribe down below. Really support the channel, and we're on the road to 500 subscribers. Don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on all that was discussed here today. I also do a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that, so check that out. I'll link that down in the description below. And can't see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.